Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary, and not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back. From the New York Post, charges against hundreds of New York City rioters, looters have been dropped. Hundreds. Meanwhile, hundreds of people that were at the January 6th so-called insurrection, most of them are just standing outside or just wandering around inside. Police let them in. Many of them are being held without charge. I guess they waived the writ of habeas corpus, apparently. It's the double standard that I think is so appalling. But let's read on. Double standard when concerning progressive Democrats. Hundreds of alleged looters and rioters busted last year in protest over George Floyd's murder by police have had their charges dropped, according to NYPD data. Figures ripped as disgusting by a local business owner. In the Bronx, which saw fires in the street and mass looting in June 2020, more than 60% of the arrestees have had charges dropped, according to the investigation by NBC New York. Oh, you mean a fairly mainstream media channel, in this case a major New York affiliate, is investigating charges dropped? That's unusual. They're really doing their jobs now? 73 of the 118 people arrested in the borough have their cases shelved altogether. Another 19 were convicted on lesser counts like trespassing, which carries no jail time. 18 cases remain open, with NBC Net accounting for the other 8 arrests. Those numbers, to be honest with you, is disgusting, said Jessica Benacourt, who owns a Bronx eyeglass store that was looted and is vice president of a local merchants association, told NBC. I was in total shock that everything is being brushed off to the side. They would do it again because they know they won't get the right punishment, she added, of the rioters who again left the Bronx burning. In Manhattan, where looters ran rampant across Soho and Midtown, 222 of those arrested have had their cases completely dropped, while 73 got lesser counts. Of the 485 people busted in the borough, 128 have open criminal court cases, while 40 juvenile defendants had their case moved to family court. Another 40 cases with juveniles dropped, while 73 got lesser charges. Unbelievable. I mean, this is just human nature 101 that you learn when you're a child. If you can do something wrong, or is perceived wrong, at least by society, in this case, looting stores, burning buildings, destroying people's lives, even if you injure no one, which didn't happen, but even if that happened and no one was hurt, I guess it's okay. And guess what will happen? Just human nature. A 5-year-old knows this. You're going to do it again and again and again. And if you aren't directly involved, you'll be indirectly involved with getting the people together to do it, so it comes out the same. Of the 485 people busted in the borough, 128 have had open criminal court cases. Another 40 cases with juvenile defense at the family court. Yes, we reviewed that. Sources in the DA's office insisted that in many of the cases, the evidence was not strong enough to secure a conviction. Like what? A signed confession? Which, by the way, they had in a lot of cities. People were admitting, I admit it, I did this, I did this, I did this. And the case was still dropped. Sources of the DA's office insisted, like many in the case, the evidence was not strong enough to secure a conviction. The officers are also swamped with a backlog of cases created by the court's prolonged closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, let's blame it on COVID again. All our shortcomings and all our F-ups in the criminal justice system, as far as the courts go, and district attorneys, is all COVID's fault. Patrice O'Shaughnessy, a spokesman for the Bronx DA's office, provided differing information than the NBC report. No. She said there were a total of 90 total arrests on felony and misdemeanor charges stemming from riots on June 1st and 2nd last year, and 28 were outright dismissals, accounting for about 31%. 14 cases were resolved with what's known as adjournment in contemplation of dismissal, meaning charges get tossed if the defendant stays out of trouble for 6 months or completes community service. In other words, don't F up again for 6 months. Oh, okay. So this next time you just wear a black hood over your face, because that way you can't be arrested. 14 cases were resolved, what's known as adjournment. We reviewed that. The remainder of the cases were either resolved with a guilty plea or conditional discharge, or are still pending. Even the guilty pleas got slaps on the wrist. Have you heard so far in any of this? Look at this person's store. I had a convenience store in upstate New York for 23 years. Just recently sold the building that it was in. I'm 64. I'm done. And it's not nearly as bad as this. But one thing you didn't notice, though, where's the restitution? Have you seen one line about any of these people getting paid back for their merchandise and their business lost? Or the insurance companies that had to pay? Remember that last year? It's okay. All these rich people have insurance. Let the insurance company pay while the looting was going on. These poor people need this money to survive. Oh, okay. That's the attitude. Unbelievable. Let's read on. We went forward with cases in which we had evidence and a complaining witness, she said. Some cases were dismissed, but we had held people accountable because we do not tolerate violence against Bronx business owners. You're an idiot. Former NYPD Chief of Patrol Wilbur Chapin said the district attorney's offices and courts had allowed people who committed crimes to go scot-free. If they're so overworked and they can't handle the mission they were hired for, then maybe they should find another line of work. Oh, they can't get another line of work. One, they're unhireable, unless it's a nonprofit or some progressive organization. And two is they can't push their progressive ideology on everybody else unless they're in the DA's office. An NYPD Deputy Inspector Andrew Arliss asserted that painstaking work went into each case. Oh, I'll bet. We had to analyze each case individually and see if, in fact, we could prove the right person had committed the crime. Yeah, you don't want to convict innocent people, of course, but that's a smokescreen. Meanwhile, two of the top candidates in the Democratic mayoral primary panned the move Sunday. You know, here's what happens. You're an asshat. You do incredibly destructive things. You destroy a business like that person's small business. You get a slap on the wrist. They, usually younger people, they'll talk to their friends, talk to their family, talk to people they grew up with. And they're going to tell them, yeah, do community service, had to pay a $100 fine, big deal. And so the word gets out, guess what? You can do all these things, and there's no repercussions. But if you come down hard, and I mean hard, they're going to go back to their friends and associates and family members and even go on social media and say, oh, boy, holy crap, I got to do this, this, and this. I got to do 60 days worth of weekends in jail. I got to make up $10,000 in restitution. Oh, my God, this is ridiculous. I'll never be able to do this. Guys, I know you believe in social justice, but this isn't a way to do it. That's what would happen. Let's move on. Everybody needs to be able to be safe in their communities, and store owners need to know that their property is going to be protected, said Kathleen Garcia in a statement. When I'm mayor, I work to ensure the NYPD partners with the district attorney's office to make sure they have the resources and support to seek accountability and justice. Okay, let me say this slowly so you understand. If there's a D in front of their name, that statement right there is horse shit. Editor Andrew Yang, while the vast majority of these protesters last year did so peacefully, yeah, did you say that about the people that were January 6th at the Capitol? When there were almost 500,000 people at the rally and 200 or 300 acted stupid and we're goaded on, and we're finding out now evidence that maybe things aren't so black and white, but that's besides the point. They still did it. Did you say that the vast, vast majority of those people were peacefully congregating and protesting? Hell no. It's the insurrection. We have to lock down the Capitol with barbed wire. Funny they didn't mention they were mostly peaceful. Those protesting last year did so peacefully. Those who broke the law, broke windows, destroyed small businesses, and acted violently, recklessly must be held accountable. Here's the thing. All right, we'll say that's true. We'll say 95% of the protests were peaceful. They acted as a screen. They acted as a screen for the other 5%. And the 95% knew what they were doing and said and did nothing. Eric Adams, a former NYPD captain who has positioned himself as the field's law and order candidate, did not respond to a question about the report in the Sunday campaign event. For the campaign of Maya Wiley, whose platform supports defunding the NYPD, didn't respond to a question for comment. Do you think? Bronx DA Darcel Clark declined repeated requests for an interview with FBC, as did Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance Jr., with the latter's office busy investigating former President Donald Trump's businesses, the outlet said. Yeah, they're just too busy. When was the last time somebody running for public office, especially high public office like the mayor of New York, shy away from media? Shy away. It's NBC. This isn't Fox asking them, okay? Which means they know they're wrong. And they're going to have to tell the truth, either directly or indirectly. And that will go against their narrative, and it will cost them progressive votes, especially in the primary, where usually the more leftist and progressive candidate wins, because that's usually who it turns out. The station noted in an internal memo in which Vance says there were more than 3,500 unindicted felony cases waiting to move forward and that have been on hold due to the pandemic. Okay, I'll say it again slowly and softly. The word I used before, that's horse shit. Blaming the pandemic. Do your job. How about this? How about taking some investigators and some lawyers off the Donald Trump investigation, which nobody gives a good damn about? You're going to find out that he didn't pay $50 on something, okay? And make a big deal out of it. Why don't you use those people? They'll prosecute these morons that destroyed businesses. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, okay. Before dropping a case, Van told his prosecutors to review defendants' criminal histories, whether police would really place the suspect at the scene, and whether the individual caused any damage to the store. Okay. You're going to use that criteria for the hundreds of people that walked in the Capitol like morons that did nothing to harm the place at all? Just basically rubbernecked around and looked and thought it was cooler than hell and just weird? How about the people that are outside the Capitol building that are getting arrested, questioned, held without bail, that did nothing? For many of these commercial burglaries, you would be asked to reduce the initial felony charge to a misdemeanor and dispose of the case with an eye towards rehabilitation, Vance told his office, according to NBC. Yeah, you know, the person throwing the rocks, the person looting the store, the person burning the store, they're the victim. That's basically what that statement says. Court spokesman Lucina Shelfin told NBC that the decisions to dismiss cases were primarily made by district attorneys. No kidding. An application must be made by a district attorney, or they have done with hundreds of DATs, desk appearance tickets, declined to prosecute them. And there you have it. They're getting back what they put in. Look at this poor place. I had a small store. It was a little bigger than this because that's New York. I mean, real estate's at a premium. I mean, come on. You know, it's ridiculous. This poor person to do the cleanup. That's not counting the loss of business for several days. That's not counting the inventory loss. That's not counting if sometimes your vendors will give you credit, most of the time not. Your insurance claims, big deductibles. It's ridiculous. 2, 3, 4 days of 12-hour days cleaning up, resetting, reordering stock, and making absolutely zero money. They don't give a good damn. But here's the part that really, really bothers me, but even more than this. A lot of these deep blue cities and states, and I mean deep blue progressive leftists that are doing this, are driving businesses and people out of major cities. Here's the problem. Many of them are going into red areas. I live in upstate New York. This state is deep blue. I went to Tennessee recently. You saw some videos on my trip. I've got more to come. And they're moving there. And they're voting for Democrats. I'm sorry to say this. I know they're probably decent people just trying to do what's best for their families when they leave these blue states to go elsewhere. You're a carrier of a virus much more deadly than the coronavirus. The virus you're carrying is progressivism and leftism. And that has killed and will kill more people than any pandemic in the history of the world. Don't leave blue states to go to red states or rural areas and turn around and vote for the same thing again and expect a different result. And those people that have lived generation after generation in these red areas, you destroy their lives and their livelihoods eventually as well. You are the virus. Stop voting Democrat when you leave the deep blue states and cities. Period. And until next time, folks, goodbye and good luck.